In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the master cylinder on your Honda Accord. This will be located in the engine bay. Let's get started. Using a 10mm socket, remove the bolt for the bracket. We're going to remove the 10mm bolt for the junction box. We're going to remove the plastic cover inside of the wiper cowl. Push on these two tabs, pull straight up. In there, there's going to be two 12mm nuts, just like this. Using a 12mm socket, remove the 4 nuts for the brace. Two more inside of the wiper cowl. Remove the brace. Remove the cap for the master cylinder. We're going to remove the filter that's inside of there. Using a fluid extraction device, we're going to extract most of the fluid out of the master cylinder. We're going to put the filter back in. Put the cap back on. We're going to remove the connector for the level sensor. There's a tab on the bottom of it. We're going to push on that tab, pull straight back, and remove that connector. We're going to put some rags down under this master cylinder so when we open up these lines, fluid doesn't go everywhere. Using a 12mm wrench, we're going to remove the brake lines off the side of the master. Remove the fittings from the master cylinder, pull the lines out. I'm going to put a rag over these lines to try and stop the leaking, or at least minimize it. Using a 12mm socket, remove the nut on either side of the master cylinder. There's going to be a nut and a washer. Pull the master cylinder straight forward off of the booster. We're going to bench bleed our new master cylinder. We have fittings with some clear hose going into the top. We're going to fully submerge these hoses. Fill the reservoir basically to the max. In the back, we're going to use the push rod. We're going to push this until all of the air leaves the hoses. After probably 20 or 30 presses, you can see that most of the bubbles, or pretty much all of the bubbles, are gone. And we're going to be ready to install this. Install the master cylinder. Get it installed onto the studs. Install the lock washers onto the studs. Do this on both sides. And then get the nuts started. Snug the nuts down. Torque the nuts to 11 foot-pounds. We're going to remove our fittings. We're going to do these one at a time. As we take the fitting off, we're going to install our brake line. I'm going to remove the hose. Remove our fitting and quickly install the line. We're going to snug this fitting down but not make it super tight. We just don't want it leaking. I'm going to top off the master cylinder in between the lines just so we don't run it dry. I'm going to do the same thing in the rear fitting. Remove the bleed fitting and install the brake line, getting it nice and tight so it doesn't leak. Gonna refill our brake fluid one more time. Gonna install the filter. And the cap. With an assistant in the car, we're going to push the brake pedal down, and as we push it down, we're going to crack the fitting. You can go ahead and push. And we'll do the same thing on the front line. You're good to let up. Push. Once they hit the floor, they'll let you know. You can close that fitting back down. And you're good to let up. Good to go. We're going to remove the rags we had under. Torque the brake line fittings to 16 foot-pounds. If you can't get a torque wrench on them, do the best you can. Install the brace. Get it started up into that wiper cowl. Drop it on the studs out front. Get the nut started on all of the studs. Install the nuts onto the brace through the wiper cowl. Snug the nuts down. Do the same in the front. Torque all 4 nuts to 16 foot-pounds. Install the plastic cover, get the back started first, and then push the front down into place. Pull the junction box up on top of the bracket and get the bolt started. Pull the bracket up for the hose and harness. This little tab will drop in and get the bolt started. Snug them down and torque them to 8 foot-pounds. Install the connector, push until you hear a click. If you don't hear a click, give it a pull, make sure it's locked on. Once we've installed our master cylinder, you're going to want to go through and do a 4-wheel brake bleed. Let's get into our brake bleed. Be sure that your master cylinder is full. And then we're going to move to our left front wheel to begin. We're going to install a clear tube onto the fitting. And this is running into a bottle. We're going to use a 10mm wrench for the bleeder. We're going to have somebody in the car pump up the brakes. Once they're holding, they'll let you know. You can open the bleeder. You'll see the fluid start to come out, push through. Close it up. Go ahead and pump again. They'll pump it up, open it. Continue this process until you have nice clear fluid with no bubbles coming out. Once we have no bubbles and nice clean fluid, we're going to snug up that bleeder, remove our bottle, spray down the area with a bit of parts cleaner, and wipe it with a clean rag. If you had one, reinstall the bleeder cap. Then we're going to move on to the right front wheel. In between each wheel, after bleeding it, we're going to come to our master cylinder. We're going to open the top, and we're going to top it off to the max level. Reinstall the cap, and then we're good to move on to the next wheel. You want to make sure you top this off, or at least make sure it doesn't run dry during this process, because then we'll have to go through and re-bleed the master cylinder. Remove the bleeder cap on the right front. Install the bottle. We're going to repeat the same process. Have somebody pump up the brakes. Then we'll open the bleeder screw. All the fluid will come out. Once they hit the floor, close it. They'll pump it back up. And we'll repeat this process till we have nice, clean, clear fluid coming out with no bubbles. We'll snug up that bleeder. Pull the hose off. Clean the area. And reinstall the bleeder cap. Moving on to the right rear wheel, we're going to remove our bleeder cap. We're going to install our wrench. Get our bleeder bottle installed. Have your assistant pump up the brakes. Then open the bleeder. Once they hit the floor, close it down. Repeat this until you have that nice, clean, clear fluid coming out of the hose. Once you do, go ahead and remove that bleeder bottle, remove the wrench, clean down any leaks or drips, install the bleeder cap. Now we'll be moving on to the left rear wheel. Get that wrench on there, bleeder bottle. Pump them up, open the bleeder, once they hit the floor, close it up, pump them up, continue that process till you have that nice, clean, clear fluid. Remove the bottle. Make sure the bleeder's nice and snug. Spray it down. Give it a wipe. Reinstall the bleeder cap if you had it. And then we'll go check our master cylinder. We're going to go to our master cylinder. We're going to open that cap. We're going to put that cap to the side, and we're going to top off our master cylinder. I want to make sure we're at the full line. You'll be able to see it on the side of the reservoir. There will be a mark with the cylinder topped off. Put the cap on, and you're good to go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.